Thank you. Thank you so much for joining this afternoon. This is going to be a panel discussion, so I request that people on that side, if you choose to come this way, I think it would be better. While they do that, how's everybody doing? Yeah, I know it's afternoon, so we sort of made sure that the panel discussion would lend itself quite well. Thank you so much for joining. There are lots of sessions going on at the same time, so for you to choose this session, it's great. It's important. It's an important topic as we see it, but it's great to see the interest in this topic. So over the next 75 minutes, 60 to 75 minutes, we'll really talk about building Office 365 champions. Instead of me telling you, I'm really excited that we have two customers who have been doing this, and we'll really hear through their voice. So I'm here moderating, and they will tell their story. So without further ado, let me invite Simon and Cedric to join me on the stage. Do you want to take a seat?
Thank you.
Great. I think we should kick off with, tell us a little bit about who you are, where do you work, what's your background, your role specifically. I think it'll help for folks in the audience to sort of relate to what you do.
Oh, okay, right, me first then. So, hi, I'm Simon Denton. I'm a business architect at a company called Mock McDonald. Easily confused with a company that flips burgers. We're not the burger flipping company. We solve some of the world's most challenging engineering problems, from tunnels, railways, and roads. My background is definitely not IT. I mean, 4 years ago, I was putting a tunnel underneath the railway line, to give you an idea. So that's who I am.
Great.
All right, I'm Cedric Hoot. I work for Nestle, so we're a global company. We're operating in almost 200 countries. With 350,000 employees. So my role in the company is to look at how we can engage our users, our employees, to drive that change to the digital workplace. And we're really focusing on activities in the area of change management, training, communication, and that sort of thing. I also have, well, I don't have an IT background at all. I come from marketing originally, so and I flipped to GIS and IT quite early in my career.
That's great. That's great. And myself, I'm from Microsoft. I run the team that's focused on end-user adoption for Office 365. So we work really closely with the Fast Track team, really making sure that they're enabled to help you all be successful with adopting Office 365. So that's sort of my role. How many of you know what a champion is? All right, great. Why don't you tell them? What do we mean when we say champion? I know there is we wanted to make sure we, level set what to expect when we talk about champions. So it'll be great for each of you to sort of talk about champion in the context of your business.
Okay, go on.
I start. Champions for us, most of the time, the people that work in the business, they sit in marketing, they sit in sales, they sit in procurement, and they're interested they're a bit of interest in IT, they're a bit geeky on the side, or they're quite interested in the technology side, but also in the productivity side, right? And the people that will be quite engaged and influential in their team. So they sit in their team, and they're trying to convince people because they have that. They like to play around with all the apps, and they like to see how they can make improvements as to how they work in the team. And they're influential and try to drive people to join them and start using the solution. But not only the solution, also embrace those new ways of working, of being mobile, being flexible, being more agile in the way that they work.
Yeah, sure. I'm feeling the pressure. I saw loads of hands go up, so actually people knew what champions were, so I was a little bit nervous. But yeah, it really is, it's someone who's a champion's got a real passion for what they're trying to do, the change that they're trying to affect. And actually in the keynote, it was really good that the opening line of the keynote was, we're all change agents, right? And that's what a champion is. They're an agent of change through their organization. And really, as Cedric says, for us, it's definitely not someone in IT, right? It's someone from the business, groups of people from the business, through a vertical slice through the organization, who've just got a passion, understanding, and a curiosity, and are willing to go out and help their colleagues and spend a little bit more time with them. That's really who they is, and they're able to. They don't all have to have that ability to have the conversation, with a CEO or a VP. They just need to have enough confidence to be able to talk to their peers and say, actually, this is how I'm doing it. This is how I understand it. This is how I can work for you. And that's the kind of thing a champion is.
How do you find them?
Yeah, so we put out a call to arms on our Yammer network. And initially, we wanted people to kind of step forward and volunteer to be a champion, because I don't know about you, if you tell someone to do something, it's very functional. They just, please go and do this, and they get it done, and it's done, right? But you want the kind of person that wants to do this. So we put a call to arms out through our Yammer network initially. We followed it up with some senior leader briefings that we said, we're going to put this messaging out, we're going to keep putting this message out. We want some champions. We want people to volunteer. We do not want leaders of the company going to their favorite IT person going, yeah, you be the champion, you be the champion. That's definitely what we don't want. We want people to put their hand up. And it wasn't a one-time process, because we run a network, and we run like a network. We keep cycling new ones through. So we always say, if someone's curious and start asking questions, say, well, do you want to be a champion in this area? Why don't you pick that up? And we run that process through again and again and again.
Yeah, well, we got our champions through various channels. The social network was one of them, because so many of them already exist, and no one is there to support them. So for us, it was also a way to say, to identify them and bring them on board. Mm-hmm. But besides that, another way that we recruit champions is we actually organize some sessions and where we tell people, do you want to become a champion? And they come and they're interested. And they usually, because they have that inside them, they usually come. And then it's also word of mouth, and we keep spreading like this. Mm-hmm. We also like champions to nominate other champions. Mm-hmm. It's totally fine. Mm-hmm. And we encourage that as well. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's not over top down and say, you're going to be the champion. That's not good. Well, most of the time it just doesn't work. Yeah. That volunteering aspect is important.
And you both emphasized how it is more of a voluntary thing. Have you had situations where you have champions who joined and then over time, sort of disengaged in the process as well?
Yeah, sure. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
If they want to dip in for a month, 3 months, 2 months, whatever it is, right? If they're putting their effort and passion into helping a piece, helping their colleagues, then that's absolutely fine. And if they put their hand up at the end and say, you know what, this is too much for me, or I've got some other commitments, that's okay, right? Because you just keep cycling it through and getting that enthusiasm to understand and take the technology on. That's what we needed to do. So yeah, there's no pressure at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for us it was people quitting. It's the best thing, because then we're like, why did you quit? And then we can understand, well, I didn't feel supported enough, I was not getting the right materials, so I couldn't really do this, or I was not empowered. Nobody was listening to me in my team. How can we help you there? Yeah. So we do learn a lot from people that disengage. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What drove you to start the Champions program within your organization?
Well, we moved to Office 365, and it has all of these solutions. And you want people to use them. And we generally believe that we're going to have productivity and make people's lives easier, and they work better. But you need to reach out to these people. If you think that you're just going to put the solution out there and people just going to figure out by themselves and start using it, it will partially work, but you're going to miss a bit of it. So it's really to grow the adoption of those solutions. Mm-hmm. I mean, we made big investments to get those solutions. And we want to get most of it, and it's about driving engagement. Because it's not only about the tool; it's very much about the ways of working and how this is changing. More and more people are taking calls from home. there, or they may take a call if they need to go to an appointment, and as they're on the road, and they'll be reviewing a document on the train, they'll be doing all that kind of stuff. And we need to encourage those new ways of working. But also the whole concept of transparency and working out loud. And these are things that you don't get from the tool.
Yeah.
These are things that there's change in the way people work and trying to bring. And that's where you need your champions to help with that.
Yeah, so our network kind of grew out, yes, of our move to Office 365. And about 3 and a bit years ago, I was sat in the audience, just like you guys were, at my first Ignite in Chicago. And I was on the steepest of learning curves. I'd finished tunneling 6 months before, and I was learning IT, and I was trying to soak up as much as I could, right? And I got to Ignite, and one of the messages was, the things I picked up, that these things need to be business-led. And I reflected back on the 6 months that I had and realized this is bloody hard work, right? To actually learn, understand, invest the time and effort. And I was privileged because that's what I was being effectively paid to do, is to understand these things. But I realized we needed to take people on the same sort of journey in the business, and we couldn't expect all 16,000 of our employees just to, down tools for 3 months to work out, what to use when, and, should I use Sway over PowerPoint and things like that. We had to put something in place pretty quickly to work out, to give us this layer of people who can help other people take them on that journey. So that's how we kind of started off with our Champions Network and aligned them with the first tool that we were launching. And so the first things we kind of launched were around our project sites work. We're a very project-oriented organization. So it's our first immersion into SharePoint. So we got a whole load of champions based around SharePoint and got those just trained up a little bit. And then as we rolled other tools out, we then looked for other Champions Networks around the social, around the Yammer, and some of the other aspects, and then built on Champions Network up that way, rather than just going, right, we need a champion for Office 365, because it's too wide. It's, it's bigger than this room. It's huge.
Yeah.
And the last aspect of it that is interesting, I mean, these guys sit with the business. And if I meet someone for supply chain, I have no idea what they're going to be talking. All the problems that they have, that's not my thing. I will not understand. When you get someone who's there, he knows about the tools, he knows about the new ways of working, and he knows about the challenges that they have, he knows about the work itself. And that's why champions were really important. Because if I had an army of IT people working for me and doing support, that would be great, right? I would never have that, but that would be great. But these champions would be more efficient than an army of support people.
Yeah. Something that both of you have talked about, I want to sort of share. We did a study with a number of Office 365 customers, and really what we were trying to see was, what are the most effective ways people learn? And what you see on this study is basically they learn the best from their coworkers. So the Champions program really helps take that notion and makes it more mainstream within your organization. So it is, even research proves, it is the best way that people learn and adopt new technology. So I think there are great similarities between what you found and what we found across the board. So, how did you go about building the program? I know there's a lot involved. There are lots of critical steps that you have always talked about, like not missing those steps. We would love to better understand that.
You do point one.
Okay, I'll do point one. Okay, so yeah, I spent about 4 weeks trawling the internet for all these great solutions about how to do all this stuff, right? There's a plethora of guides, but the thing that really struck with me is we just needed to create a very clear and concise plan of what we needed to do. So we actually engaged with Microsoft at the time, and they pointed us in the direction of another Champions program that had done something really, really well. And I took one slide from that program and developed a very simple execution plan of how we'd work through the entire process. And then I looked at that plan, I took a step back, and there was absolutely no mapping to what the business wanted to do. I was just thinking about it from a digital literacy point of view, that we need to get people from A to B, and these are the steps we'd go through. So I took a look at it, and I started to align it to what the things the company were trying to do the things we had in our mission statements. And from that, I tailored the plan to match what we were trying to do as a company. We want to enable our engineers access anytime, anywhere, any device to the engineering content that they're working on, right? So I needed to align my plan to how do we train people about any device access? How do we manage the anytime and the anywhere? So I then just built that up as a very simple deck with some material, actually more from Microsoft around the fast track program, into a really concise plan and slide deck. And that was the start of the plan, which I review every 3 or 4 months just to make sure we stay true to our mission.
Yeah, well, very similar, I must say. What was really important for us is to get proper sponsorship. Sponsorship at our level. So you want to see at your level to say, well, we need to build a network, and without proper sponsorship, this is going nowhere. But then it's also about sponsorship at a country level, because we're going to ask all of these resources, all of these people working in the markets to start spending a bit of their time educating their colleagues. And that is also a critical path, and getting sponsorship at every level. So we went on a tour, on a virtual tour, it was on Skype, but really talking to all the IT managers and through all of our usual channels to say, well, we want to do this. We get really good response. Most of them just really see the value of this. The whole topic of collaboration is huge, and the way people work. And how do you get a virtual team to work properly, to be efficient? How do you manage a virtual team? These are things that are becoming more and more normal work. We're getting project with experts from wherever they are, really. If they're the expert in the area and they're the one we need to have a way. So we had really that stronger sponsorship, and that just gives you the means to go ahead. Then, should we
toggle this one? Sure. Okay. So yeah, the real challenge, because we don't fund our champions or any of our change agent network. So this is completely a volunteer thing. So you've got to address the big thing, the what's in it for me, why should I get involved? And actually, I think that's a kind of a key to an adoption strategy, is kind of solving the what's in it for me piece, rather than the big periodic table matrices and all these kinds of stuff. It's, if you can find something that resonates with someone with the what's in it for me, they tended to step forward to act as volunteers. So I was really conscious we had to give something back, even though they were giving some time. So I talk to them every month. We have a Yammer group, and they can ask questions and things like that. I'm sure I'll go into that in a bit more. But what I gave that was in for them is they got direct access to me anytime they wanted, right? They're on my Skype do not disturb list, so all 400 of them. If they had a question they wanted to ask me, I could ping it out to our team, we could get it back again. We still host monthly sessions where we do a part where I will talk about, this is what we're doing, this is how we're going, and I'll give them some insight of the direction of travel kind of Microsoft are going, so they get a satisfaction about, this. I'm part of this journey myself. And we also try and echo that back to their management teams about, these guys are doing some really good stuff on the ground. It's really, really hard to quantify the impact of a champion, right, in pounds or dollars or a unit currency. And so we would echo stories back saying, Mihail in the airports division gave a lunchtime presentation to 100 of his colleagues, right? And that was really impactful. His bosses wouldn't have known, but the fact that we recorded it through Skype and we pinged his bosses and said, have you seen what he's done in his own time? And that makes a really, really big impact, not upon the program, but onto the individuals as well, and they feel rewarded from doing that.
Yeah. And the next step was really, we need to empower them, and we need to give them the tools. So it's really training them. And there's a lot in the beginning, and you go progressively, but you really want to make sure that they're properly trained. We did run tons of sessions. Microsoft was helping a lot in there to get those champions up to speed. And one thing we've done, but actually not everywhere, because we have a preferred way of driving this in the market, but then markets can do the way that they think is more appropriate for them. But one thing we did propose is to incorporate into the what we call our PDP, our progress development, our personal development. The trainings they were giving them, like someone has absolutely no particular knowledge in social networking inside the company, and they want to grow into this because they think it's important. So we train them, and that gets put into their PDP, so their manager agrees with that, and that's not happening everywhere. But
so it's like you formalize the training that you were providing as part of their learning path as an employee.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
Right?
Again,
so you made it very core to what their job required them to do.
And that's addressing also part of the what's in it for me.
Yeah.
And we actually did assessment as well. So we assess people, not to say, well, you don't qualify to be a champion, but more to say, where do we need to develop you? Right? You know absolutely everything about OneDrive. Okay, we're not going to focus on this. And again, it's volunteering, so it's what are you interested in?
Yeah.
I'm interested in all the things with SharePoint because we can create a lot of stuff. All right, so we're going to grow you into this. So.
I certainly learned some tips there already, just for my own one. So one of the ways we kind of stay connected and help that piece around the training is that we actually, from day one, created a Yammer group that put all of our champions in, future, past, and present. Right, we put them in. It's a public group, and we kind of encourage them to work out loud in the way they did, so the way they were doing things. We got them to post questions into there. If they didn't know how to do it, I bet the other 399 other champions might not have known how to do it. So we got them to put the questions in there. Initially, I would start answering them, but actually then the community was kind of taking over, and they were starting to answer their own stuff and actually then asking me the really tricky stuff. And yeah, that took me a little bit more time. But that really helped not only give them cohesion, because we're a global company, and these 400 people are dotted in 413 locations around the world. And so actually to give them that fact that they're all pulled together and they could work together as a team really, really helped and gave people a lot of visibility what they did. And that really helped us kind of share what we're doing, where we're working, how they were working. So they started recording their own Skype sessions. So I said Mihail was one of our amazing airport designers. He started recording his Skype sessions and then posting them into the Champions Network in Yammer. And from there, the other champions, again, bootlegging in that effectively, I'm going to do a lunchtime talk, which is I'm going to sit back and play Mihail's video, right? But it was a great way of crowdsourcing training materials which were really relevant to the group who needed it. And that was really, really important.
Yeah. We did the same. Well, actually, we built many Yammer groups, mostly language. Not the whole company does not operate in English, and so if you try to get your champions to in a network where it's all in English, you might miss some of them. So there's actually groups, a series of groups, and then like a global one for all of them. So it's great to see the community helping each other and how they grow and they help. We hope that at some stage we don't even need to be there anymore, and we self-maintain. I don't think we're going to get there. So, and the next step was really providing all the support material. For one thing we do, for instance, in our company at Nestle, we run weekly operational reviews. Every team does that in the whole company. And we give them material, say, well, this is your one-pager about Teams, or this is your one-pager about Yammer, right? And they go and they talk about it for 5 minutes with their team just before, say, hey, there's this new thing coming. And so it was really giving them the support material that they need, and regular discussions and meeting. We talked about that.
So Simon talked about monthly. Is that about the same for you as well? Like, do you have a monthly rhythm, or? So yeah,
or
does it vary depending on where you are?
Rhythm definitely varies, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much monthly. And then what we do every quarter, it's more of a one-to-one meeting. We're starting that because that gives us the opportunity to get a bit more feedback. So the monthly meeting, I'm always the whole group. Yeah. Always separate by regions, obviously, for time zones. And getting that one-to-one gives you that great feedback. Some people may not always be the most comfortable with the 60 people all together. Yeah. To just give a feedback, say, I don't understand this, or I try this, it didn't work. So the one-to-one is a nice, more personal touch as well. So we're starting that.
So yeah, definitely on the frequency. I guess for us, depending on the complexity of the thing that we're trying to ask people to understand and pick up and use, right? And so on the things that were really quite that we felt were technically not too complex, and I've made a few mistakes on that choice, and that's probably why I was backpedaling a bit in the statement. We would start with a couple of calls quite close together, then we'd quite quickly lengthen that process out into a regular cadence. But some of the more complex workloads, we're currently going through the whole Teams plus SharePoint, get rid of Skype for Business piece. That's really quite a complex change to go through, because taking people out of the instant messenger on the desktop and the calls, and you start putting them into the Teams thing, that's going to need a lot of hand-holding through the process. So I can see us doing like a weeklies for maybe 6 or 7 weeks, just briefing that community, bringing them up to a level of strength, and then extending that to 2s and then 4s and so on, and working your way through until we feel that overall their confidence levels are at such a point that they can always self-sustain, and then they can start picking the literacy up around the tooling.
When do you start? When do you start creating and finding these champions? Is it early in the deployment phase, later in the how do you think about it in your project rollout plan?
So we changed our IT rollout process to include this as like a step. I mean, traditionally the IT guys were build it, deploy it, sketch some documents together just from a management perspective, and they would just consign it to the ServiceNow system, or the support ticket and knowledge base, and that'll be a job done, right? So we built it into the process that when we get to the point of our light UAT of a solution or a set of features, that we are starting to document the high-level end user or staff guidance that we wanted to create. So either be word things or sways or some short videos, and this stuff might be a bit loose around the edges, but it gets us into the discipline. We've got to start producing the really important documentation, which is the people, for the staff to consume it with. It's not really for the IT guy to switch certain things on and off. So we decided to build it into our process. It's getting better through the process. We've had a few hiccups, but that's the way we've kind of approached that cadence, is to build it into our business process.
Yeah, we started probably much later than we were hoping, as we had other stuff to deal with, and so now we're catching up. But we started with the easy ones, sort of the OneDrive and the SharePoint, and we had SharePoint for a while, so it was easy, or easier, let's say. And then we're starting to the more complex stuff, the Teams, the Yammer, the Sway, Delve. That's where we really felt the need to, we need more people, and we need people with different skills. And but I would say early on in the process is much better, much more.
Yeah, again, just to sort of emphasize the points that Simon and Cedric are making, the same study that I talked about previously. The stakeholder having a sponsorship for the program bubbled up to the top. 75% reported that was very critical to drive adoption. So, that's pretty much what they talked about as well. Training, again, really thinking about how do you support the champions and how do you support the end users is again a big one. This last one is an interesting one. I'd love to hear your perspective on this. It's customers who actually spend time raising awareness for what they are going to get was really important, because they had to start think about what is this, start generating interest in the end users and really raise that awareness before you start making it a formal part of their job process. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what was the communication plan that you had in place as you thought about rollouts.
Well, we basically have 3 channels that we use to communicate. So we have the social networks, and there we have very targeted communication. So that you target the groups that okay, this is a very technical group. This is a group where this is a sales group, and they're all mobile, and they'll be interested by a solution that helps them connecting, having discussions. So we go through the social channels really, and we send them a lot of information, but the information is targeted. It's very different according to the audience. So we do segment here. Our second channel is like big, broad communication, and that is a more slow pace going. So this is going out to all employees, and there the pace is like one communication a month, and we don't get into too much detail. There's little things, too much, right? Because then you address so many people, some that would be not interesting, so they would be too soon for them. So we're very cautious with that slow pace. And our third communication channel is our champion network. And then we feed them with a lot of information. And then when they speak to the people in their team, then they know what they have to talk about because they know their team. So that's our communication. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
And then we have specific communication plans for specific activities as well.
Yeah.
Sure. So ours is slightly different. So I use the Champions Network to kind of trickle the stuff out, right? Just kind of create a buzz. We don't have any sort of formal buzz programs around anything really, and we get the word out through the champions, so through the briefing. So this is coming. This is the kind of thing we're doing. Get the feedback loop with them, so they can influence the final product that's going to come. And we do nothing more than 2 weeks out in terms of formal communications, because it's got to be quite top of mind with people that you're going to make a change and you're going to light up Delve or something. If you send an email 6 weeks before, if it's not in their focus inbox and it's gone to the bin, they probably would have completely forgotten about this thing. So what we try to do is focus no more than 2 weeks out about any change actually through the IT service. So we start, if it's a low impact change, then or something we want them to adapt, we might just put a news article up on Compass, give our champions a nudge to start spreading the word, and that's probably it. Their desktops will flip on 2 weeks later, and it's job done. On the more complex ones, we all run at it with 2 or 3 sort of announcements through the internet, through multiple Yammer channels we have. We do resort to email. We have to, because there's always those people who have that single pane of glass, which is their Outlook, and that's the only way you're going to ever communicate with these people. And so you've got to kind of push some stuff into them that way. And we build it up. So when we're just about ready for go live, then all those moving parts will come together and we'll communicate that way. We're trying to keep us close to when it happens, and then don't stop, because it's kind of all well and good flicking a light switch and the light's on. We will then communicate on almost a decaying cadence about kind of how to use the things or what we expect to do it, or then increasing cadence on the success stories that we're trying to gather from people using it. So then people stay continually engaged with the thing that we're trying to get them to use, because there's a real danger as you switch something on, everyone gets excited and they all just tail off and they kind of go back to what they're doing, things like that. So we kind of work on the longevity piece where we want people to stay engaged with what we've done, actually pick it up and adopt it and sustain the adoption going beyond the initial 2 or 3 weeks of a new thing being out there.
That is the real challenge. It's the adoption and that people change their way. I mean, it takes 6 to 10 weeks before the new way becomes the normal way, and that's where our champions they're there with the team all the time, all the way through the journey.
Yeah.
And they're helping, but it's still an incredibly difficult challenge. But we see really good results coming, using the champions to go through that process.
So let's switch gears a little bit, because you're both multinational organizations. You're part of that. You talked about time zone challenges. You talked about language challenges. How do you manage a community where communities are used to a different language for communication? Talk through a little bit about some of the things that you think really worked for your organization and your organization.
Sure, I just want to point out this is not like a multinational thing. This kind of thing is scale agnostic. It really doesn't matter. I mean, the company I work for is effectively a company of maybe 160 small businesses trading under one global banner. And the techniques you kind of pick up along the way are applicable at whatever scale you are. Communicating regularly, building a group of people who are really enthusiastic and want to volunteer and wanting to do it. And building things that we found is building our networks around the solutions we're pushing out. So we have these communities of interest that we call practice sites. So we've got a whole champions network around practice sites, but actually they're built on SharePoint. So actually in a different guise, you could call them SharePoint champions, because actually they know how to use a document library, lists, content types, and all that glorious stuff. But we have a separate network for our project sites, which are also run on SharePoint. And so actually they could be technical SharePoint champions, but their focus is slightly different. It's around the project delivery. It's not around the sharing of the knowledge and learning. And so yes, we do get these overlaps. We do get these champions that actually can cross through the different planes, but we've kind of broadly aligned them with the big solutions that we're kind of pushing out. And I guess one of the things I'm really, really kind of proud of that we do is we go for something called reverse mentoring, right? So if you look at some of the digital literacy studies, the people who find it hardest to get in technology, you could segment them. I'm not going to point them out, but you can get a segment. And you find that to really help them on their journey, you can pair them up with people who kind of understand technology. Even if it's from a consumer, I'm using apps on my phone, I'm confident I can switch between WhatsApp and LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm kind of confident of switching. And by pairing those kind of people up in a process called reverse mentoring, the business leader, for example, who may be a little more technology adverse, can learn an awful lot from the other person who is more technically confident, and that helps one way. So he's learning about technology, but what we say is if you're doing that, the business leader or whoever the other person is has to share some business understanding going backwards. It doesn't need to be about the technology, but it needs to be about something. You need to have this sort of reverse monitoring contract where you exchange between the two pieces of information. So then that really fulfills what's in it for me. The champion gets potentially a whole ton of extra business insight they never got, right? They've got a new privileged friend that they might be able to talk to. And the business leader, well, he gets to understand how that technology works. So, yeah, and then I suppose just to talk to the couple of points is, yeah, I'll desperately try and keep pace with the rate of change in that Microsoft subject us to. And so it's kind of my job to keep an eye on all the changes and what's coming up, and then we kind of push it out, and we try to reinvigorate ever so often with new champions, because we do get that, we do get churn. It's understandable and accepting the churn, and from there we can support them, and then we kind of finish off with is we think it's really important that we get the organisation to recognise the effort they've done. So as I say, you know, if you see a champion do something good, you've got a good success story, you ping their boss, but actually you're copying their boss's boss because it's really super. Yeah. Have you seen what this guy over here has done? It's really good, and that's they get incentivized, not without, you know, here's a Surface Pro or something like that. This is recognition from their peer group and their boss's boss's boss that they're doing something really, really well. And if they're accepting of that, and you can put them on a little pedestal for a point in time, say, look at this guy, this girl, brilliant. It feeds their inner sort of creative engineer, I think, which is, you know, their pride. I've made this, I've done a good job, I can move on, this is brilliant, I'll do this again. And I think that incentivizes them more than maybe a token.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's key to get them recognized. We do similar reverse mentoring. We have a youth network, and we do use them to do that reverse mentoring. That is an official network, and a lot of them are part of our champion group. So and that's proven to be quite interesting. And they come with that hat of the youth network, and it works well, especially with more senior management.
So is that an offline community, or is that still part of?
That is offline. That is, okay. The people, they sit in the office, and they go and sit in a meeting with an exec and explain them this is OneDrive. This is how it works.
Yeah.
And but what was really was the way we actually deploy that champion network. So we develop everything globally, and we define everything globally, and then we send out to our markets, and then they drive the building of the network. And we don't put too much rules. We really wanted it to up because there's different cultures, different ways of working, and so we have our friends in Canada would be going through the Lean Office initiative, and our friends in the UK would be going through an HR initiative, and it's whatever suits the best, and wherever they get that sponsorship to go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
So we did, yeah.
Yeah, and can you also talk through a little bit of the adoption lead role? I know Nestle has that model of having an adoption lead and having local.
So in every market or country, we have an adoption lead. That person sits in IT, all right, and it's their role to go and find the champions. And we train them, but it's up to them to get the champions. And due to the scale of the organization, we couldn't just do everything ourselves. And again, language is also important, the cultural aspect also. So and they report into us with the challenges that they're facing and the things that are working well, and we continue to work with them. So it's kind of a few layers, yeah.
Multiple tiers, yeah. So you both talked about it a little bit. I know everyone gets asked, like, how do you know that you're being successful? So talk through a little bit, how should you think about measuring success for a champions program? Because I'm sure it's top of mind for all of you.
Yeah, well, it's back to the objective of the champion program. We want to drive adoption. We want to drive new ways of working. This is what we're interested in. So we're measuring the number of markets that that are on board, the number of sponsors that we get in each of the markets, and the number of champions that we have in each of the markets. We don't set objectives, right? It's down to the market to say, well, I think I need 15 champions or 50 champions. It's down to them. So we're measuring this. And we're measuring the growth of adoption of the solution. So we're looking now, we've made a lot of efforts in pushing OneDrive or SharePoint, and we're looking at is adoption picking up? Are we getting more users, right? So we've onboarded Germany, and they started, and it's all looking great, and then we see it's flat. So okay, well, there's something not working, or it's booming, and then great, or worse, it's going down. So we probably have a wrong message or too complex message. So really monitoring that globally, but also locally. So all of our adoption leads in the markets, they have the data. We provide them with the data that they need to see how it's going, the adoption of their solutions. And that was a bit challenging, but it's really key for them because also they need to justify the work that they're doing. And the last one we do is more qualitative. We do surveys and spot checks and try to get from people, how well it's working for them, if they're happy with it, if they got help. And then you also, of course, get the ad hoc, all the quotes and the feedback that we get, right? Or the champion sat with me and that was really great. I never had that before. I called the service desk, waited 1 hour on the line, and they couldn't help me. So, and we get that kind of stuff as well. And with all these measures, we build we call it adoption and productivity index. So it's like 16 different measures, and are built into an index, and globally we're looking at how we're growing, and we have an objective to go through that index. So.
Yeah, so our program is largely driven by success stories because, as I was saying earlier, it's sometimes really hard to quantify the impact of a champion, but what you can do is tell a really good story about what the change that they've affected. And so we encourage our champions to share the success stories in whichever medium kind of suits them, and we then amplify what they do. We have recently started to actually measure the digital capability of our staff overall. So we've just sent a big global survey out to all our staff, which is helping us to kind of level set where people actually are in their technology journeys. And so we're now embarking on a program to try and just shift the needle a little bit, because actually you're taking a lot of people on a really, really big journey. So we're going to kind of retailor the program around that capability piece. And yeah, as you do, we use ad hoc surveys. We make sure on every call that I have with them is any sort of feedback you can give us. Can we get some more ratings? Is there any weaknesses and stuff? I directly take that and then feed it into the next thing that we're doing, so they can kind of see that continual value of being engaged in the process. But it is really through the stories, right? A lot of this is we're talking about the intangible, right? Well, yes, we did save a ton of money when we moved to Skype, and I can tell you that story. But that's probably the exceptional story to the rule, okay? That's the one we can put hard pound signs on. The others are really champion A's helped another guy and it saved him 2 minutes every morning so he didn't have to triage his emails because he understands the difference between a focused inbox and an unfocused inbox. That has no monetary value, that has no resonance at the top of the tree, but it's a really good story that this person's helped that person. They've become more productive as a result. They've got a few more minutes back from the day, and sharing those things is how we measure our success. So if that pipeline of stories stop, we know we've got a problem, right?
It's super difficult to quantify that. We started off a project last year, and our objective was to give back every employee in the project 1 day a week, 1 day a month. So that was a 5% improvement in productivity. All those gray hair, they come from trying to figure out how we're going to measure that. And there's more and more.
Yeah. One of the things, as a continuation to what they are talking about, one of the things that we are doing is we are actually running a champions program that's at Microsoft level. And the vision there is there are champions that can learn from other champions in other Office 365 organizations as well. So, you know, like we love these stories because you guys are doing some great things, and I think they can learn from across Office 365 organizations as well. So, of course, you will have access to this deck and all the links and what have you, but I wanted to sort of let you know that we are sort of taking what's happening at grassroots level and sort of making it bigger so all customers sort of benefit from each other. Teams is a great example of, pretty different service than, what most of you probably started with, email. And so when we have things like that, one of our aspirations is find some champions as we get ready to release the product. So they are early on and they become the power champions that can help the champion programs that you have internally as well. So lots of aspirations there. Obviously, it's brand new. You will hear more about it over the course of time, but we do have some resources on that available to you already. We also have a few resources that are available right now on Fast Track's site, and I know Simon talked about it. We have a program guide, pretty extensive deck, and I think that's sort of where Simon's journey started. Yeah. So we constantly keep iterating on it. Obviously, as we are thinking about Microsoft 365, we'll sort of bring that same notion to Microsoft 365 all up, so you can see us building that out. As one of the things that they talked about, like communication is so important. So we have a flyer that you can grab and figure out how it might fit into your communication plan for any services. So make sure you can get that. And this last link on the right-hand side, that's the link for end users to sign up to be part of the Champions program themselves. So not only do we find champions through people like you that are IT and are really close to the end users, but we go to events or we do marketing activities and we find these people that they just demonstrate all the attributes that you talked about, which is you can just tell they are in a different role. They are in a business role. They are not in a tech role, but they have a passion for tech. They are very comfortable trying a new thing, seeing how it fits into their job, and really work their way through. So that's definitely available for you all to access as well.
So is that for new champions networks or existing?
That's a good point.
Not that I've been set up for the question, but
yeah, no, it's for new as well as existing champion programs. So for companies like Mott MacDonald and Nestle who do have champion programs already, your champions can be part of that, the Microsoft-led program. And if you are starting out new, it's a great way to sort of leverage those, because we make sure, like one of the biggest complaints we get from about 80 champions that we have right now is gosh, like there is just way too much content and there are way too many places to go. And one of the things that we've promised to them is, hey, just follow this and we'll make sure that you get what's needed for you. So we won't bore you with lots of techie IT stuff, but we'll make sure that you know about the new features in OneNote or new things about Flow or Teams or what have you. So that's a good call out.
No problem.
That's a good call out. Yeah. So any closing thoughts?
Basically what I said on the screen, right? So a champions for life, not just for Christmas, is the quote I really wanted to have up there. Yeah, it is a long-term investment, right? We're in an age of the technology where it's not just lights on, everyone's going to flock, the room's illuminated, great, we can then get stuff done. It really is, lights go on, but then you've got to do work and effort to maintain the light. And you've got to keep constantly pivoting and twisting and reaching out to your peer group beyond your organization, right? So feel free to approach me afterwards, or many of the others who kind of work in this space. Because it is a long journey which probably will, given the rate of change, will never ever end, right? And so you've just got to keep pushing at it, reinvigorating it, and keeping it as relevant as possible, and always answering the what's in it for me sort of question, not the what to use when. And that's the important bit.
You had previously spoken about, you started on the Office 365 journey about 3 years back.
Yeah.
Can you speak to how many times you had to do this?
Reinvent this thing. For once for every app tile in the waffle. Yeah, I've lost count, right? Yeah, so one for every tile. Several times for all the features and solutions that we came out with. Yeah, it's really we're just doing it again. We've released, it's like a champions network on steroids. So we've got a change agent network. So Mott MacDonald as a company are going through some really significant business change, right? So that means I have to go back to all the champion stuff that I've done before. We're completely rebranding. So this is how you use PowerPoint. This is how you put the right color schemes in. We're going to have to do all of that work again and rebuild the networks, rebuild the solutions, and just keep rinsing and repeating all the way through the process.
Cedric?
Yeah, my closing thought would be more around, we keep hearing people at home, they use Facebook and they use Twitter and they use all of these solutions and they don't need any training. They don't need anyone to tell them how to use them. And I really want to insist, in a work environment, it's very different. That's why your champion will be really, really important. If you think that you can have all the solutions out there and people will start using them and they'll be super happy and all will be working, that's not the case. That's a myth, yeah. It's really important to have these guys sitting together and helping the business figuring out how to use these solutions. There's many different ways to communicate and collaborate. It's the champions will help figuring out what is the best way in that team to collaborate. So I really like that thing. If you build it, they will come. And I thought, and I remember seeing that giant poster in New York a couple of months ago. And I thought that's exactly the opposite for us, right? It's out there, but now you need to drive people through that change. And again, it's not only about the tools. It's also about the ways of working, and that is the more profound change. The tools will be supporting those new ways of working. The tool part is kind of the easy part. It's really going through that transition. And,
yeah, definitely the cultural change piece is the hard work. It's a people thing. This is not a flashing lights and wires problem. It really is people change, manage the change management, build it, and then they won't come. They'll keep doing what they keep on doing, right? There's going to be no difference there. So you've just got to accept that bit and take a step back, which is really challenging if you're in IT, is taking that step back and actually, we think we know the right way of how to do this. You might do, but it might not actually work to the way they work. And I think that's a really important message, Cedric, really, really important.
Yeah. To help with that, there are a bunch of fast track sessions this week. I really encourage you all to catch those sessions. With that, I'll open up for Q&A. Yep. Yeah. There are mics at the front. If folks have questions, please come over. Yeah, please.
Oh, stand up.
Let's stand.
Yeah. He was first.
Yeah. Hi. We are actually running starting the applications. Well, we are receiving applications for the Champions program. We're getting questions like, what do I get from this, and how much time will I have to put on it? What would you tell that kind of questions?
How much time? Is your question, how much time should we tell the champions to invest in what they're doing?
Yes.
Yes. As much or as little as they feel they need to help their peers, right? So I don't want that. The problem with quantifying it is then they go back to their boss and say, okay, Simon says I need an hour a week to do this, and their boss goes, that's not going to happen, or I need 8 hours to learn this thing. It's just as much as they need to work their way through the process. Is the time, so you don't end up with this hard and fast rule, because 1 hour is going to work for one, 8 maybe for another, and so I don't go for it. I certainly don't go for it.
And what about the champions manager? How much time do you need a person dedicated to this?
I'm not. So I'm a part of a small IT team. We can count them on less than these fingers here. 16,000 customers, and so I do this very much as a thing almost outside of my own day job, right? And so I don't have a dedicated manager. I do have a dedicated comms manager, because we're just inflicting so much change upon them. We need to just keep doing comms briefings every 2 weeks. But yeah, we don't have a dedicated manager. I don't know about you.
Well, yeah, we're a person spending probably 40 or 50% of our time on it. But we're in the phase where we're trying to grow and grow and grow and grow. Then it will be more sustained, right? So at this moment, there's more investment that is being done. And back to your question, the first question about how much time should the champion take? We've been asked that. Everyone has asked, how much time should my champion, or how much time should my adoption lead spend? And that's the answer. There's no time. We can't quantify. It's as much as you think you need and as little as you think you can. And so it's really down to people. But thing is, there's a lot of people that are already doing it. And when we find them and we train them and we work with them, just the amount of people that will be building reports so that you can see how it's doing, that will be building SharePoint sites. And when we train them, they can do that much faster. So the time that they spend will be actually less, or they could spend more time building more relationship with other people.
Right. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Hi. Fantastic presentation. Thank you both very much. So it's great. Just a quick question. Aside from learning the products and being a general resource for their teams, is there anything specific that you ask of your volunteers? Do you ask them to conduct trainings themselves, write newsletters, blog posts, things like that?
Yeah. So yeah, thank you. I kind of missed that point in the early bit. So I do ask the champions to, if they have delivered a session, to have recorded it and put it through Skype. We produce obviously training materials, and we ask them if they want to change it or localize it, go ahead and do it. You've got our complete blessing to do that. And then, in fact, we'll take that stuff and then we'll post it back maybe into our main community, saying, actually, these guys have worked out how to do it really well. And then we feed that back through. So yeah, that's a process we go through, and it really depends on the tool sets that we're trying to get people to use as well. So hopefully that's our approach.
Yeah, same. I mean, some little training, of course, they don't go for the intensive one-day training about Skype for Business or so, but we ask them to do some presentation, and again, we try to equip them as much as we can, so that it's easy for them to do it. So they can spend the 5 minutes in the weekly meeting and say, "This is Microsoft Teams. Now you install it on your phone. We all have it. Okay, off we go. We try it."
Oh, very good idea. Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Hi, I was wondering, as the champions bond with IT, in this process, do they start asking for special perks like admin rights and hardware, and so they can just fix things and bypass the desk, right? And how did you manage that?
That's a good question.
On our side, we don't have that. We don't. They're not asking for admin rights. But what we do give them, if there's a solution coming up, like Teams, for instance, when this was about to get launched, we got our champions first, and because for a lot of them, they're keen on technology. They're like, oh my God, I have Team before everybody else, and they were super happy. That's also a way to recognize them. Okay. But we don't get the asking for admin permission and stuff like that. We don't have that.
Occasionally, they ask for God rights every time they get declined.
Yeah.
Because what we want them to be is just like any other person using the system, right? And so we can't give them that level of special privilege. But as we say, we give them the tools early. We give them the opportunity to feedback and adjust it. And as I say, 400 people on my do not disturb exclusion list. So they do have straight through to Centre IT. This is broken. I get things, this is broken questions. Nothing to do with Office 365, but they've got a shortcut into the system.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
So I heard you say that you guys have 400 collaboration champions.
Yes.
How many does Nestle have?
We've got a couple of hundred at the moment, plus about 40 leads.
Okay. And then, I mean, how did you guys decide that was the right number for your company? How did you right size that?
That's how many people have volunteered at the moment.
Okay, so you just you went open and you got 400 volunteers.
Open arms, I have them all. If all 16,000 employees would do it, I would take them all.
But not on your exclusion list.
Maybe not.
And was that the same for Nestle? You just took volunteers, and that's how.
So we take volunteers, but again, we go through. There's someone in charge of building the network in each of the markets. Okay. So and they decide the number of champions, and they actually they usually start small. They take like 3 to 5, and then when it works well with them, then they start growing. Because they want to make sure as well. This is a new activity for them, so they want to make sure that it's working well before they go more broadly.
Yeah, pyramid model. So the other thing I get asked is ratios, which is the other part. Yeah. You know, how many champions to
employees.
How many you need within a sphere of influence that they've got, right? So.
But you haven't found 400 to be hard to manage?
No, definitely no. Okay. I mean, sometimes we've got 2 or 3 in the same office, right? And there's maybe 50 people in the office, but that's the needs of that office. They need more people's support. Whereas in another office, it's got 1,000 people, we've got 1. Because that's what that office and that group of people needs. And we just draw it out that way.
Thank you.
Well,
and that's pretty consistent with the other customers that we have spoken to as well. Like they all ask, what's the ratio I should optimize for? Should we have it more at, one per location? But clearly, there isn't a formula-like approach to it. I think because it is volunteer, it's harder to say, hey, go find 20 volunteers.
Yeah, 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 is.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, my question is around the adoption leads and the champions you have, Cedric. Is adoption lead, would that be like from an IT help desk perspective? Is that someone who is on that side of the fence where a champion's more on the end user side of the fence, or are they both, would an adoption lead just be a more elevated champion?
So the adoption lead is someone who works in the ISIT department of the market. Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to think, but most of them, yes, all of them. That's how we operate, and we want that person to have that role. And it's not only about growing the network. They do other stuff around Office 365 and around the digital workplace, right? So our first thing was to find them, because we didn't have that network, and then they find the champions. The champions are in the business, but also we say we have 2 types of champions. We have the champions and we have the sponsors, and that's typically I don't know, the marketing director of the market, or the sales director, or the
sponsor,
the supply chain. They would saying, oh yes, I think we need to do this. This whole collaboration thing, we have a lot of problem with it. Yes, I want to have someone in my department to do that. So our adoption lead, what they usually do, they speak to the IS manager, and the IS manager goes and speak to his peers and says, hey, we're running this. And then they're like, oh, that's interesting. So he's recruiting the sponsors. The sponsors will give the legitimacy to the change. When your director comes and said, oh, you need to use this thing, Teams, right? Everybody is going to use it, right? And then the champion will make sure that they use it properly. So that's, we get the two.
Thank you.
In our deployment, we encountered problems with IT policies that were standing in the way of what the end users wanted to actually do. So we got a high abandonment in our champions program to a point where it was basically a non-starter. Specifically, it was no OneDrive external sharing. Did you guys encounter anything like that in your deployments? And how would you approach your resolution on that?
Yeah, every time. Because we're an enterprise, right? So we always switch one toggle off. There's always going to be a toggle that's switched off, right? So we're always going to get someone who's going to, but can I do this? Can I add this connector, right? And so it comes down to expectation management, really. It's, you know, we are an enterprise. We have to have some tools and things in place. I'm really sorry, but at the current point in time, this is the rules that we're kind of playing in, right? But we take their feedback, and what we try and do, we do try and then understand why they want that toggle switched off, why they want the external sharing. And if we can build a business story, so the thing about IT, right, we switch stuff off because we're frightened, right? But from the business, they want to get stuff done. And what we don't even understand in IT generally is why they want to get the stuff done and how will they get the stuff done. So we get them to say, well, this is how we'd use it. This is a scenario. Then if we could take that back to our steering committee and say, actually, this external sharing toggle is super useful because all these guys exchange big files with, you know, the marketing teams, then actually that toggle might switch on. And then if that happens, we make sure the source of that request is also said, it was that person. And they loop it that way. But only sometimes.
Is that consistent for you as well?
So that might surprise you, but we enable everything by default. So always, if something new comes, we leave it on, unless it has a compliance issue. And in the beginning, there was, even for us, there was like, oh, all right, but we don't have any support in place yet, and we don't have any communication ready. They said, well, that's fine, because if people discover that there's a tool out there and it's helpful for them, and they want, because we want to encourage that digital literacy and that people go and explore those solutions. So we leave everything on unless there's a compliance issue, but like external sharing, that was on from the very beginning for us. It's very interesting, as we always tend to think that IT wants to make sure we secure everything, and but really it's a very different mindset for us. We really want to enable people, and sometimes we like stream comes up, but we had another solution for video for years. But instead we leave stream on, and if people find a good use case of it, get a benefit out of it, that's great. And we want to enable people. That's our mindset, which is challenging.
Do you see any issue with small organizations trying to do this with less than 100 people?
I guess it depends on the composition of the organization in terms of whether generally the way that people work or their underlying digital sort of literacy is maybe at one end of the spectrum or the other. So yeah, I can see maybe there's a challenge there. Initially finding that one person who's the spark, right? Who's that one person who's going to get really enthusiastic about this stuff and then push it up. And whether you actually need a network of champions after that point, you might just need that one spark and that catalyst. But
I think it's less formal.
Yeah, it's definitely
structured,
probably more ad hoc.
Yeah, but there are some organizations that we work with where we have champions. You know, we have relationship with champions, and it's like he's a director of professional services, and he just happens to be the champion kind. And so I think the point is it's less formal.
Yeah, it's definitely less formal. Plus, there's a great shiny new network they can join as well. I didn't realize that.
Hi, very specific question. We've got a large group, hundreds of champions, who are about to give out their own training to their own groups. One colleague thinks that we should get feedback on their sessions from the audience so that we can judge how good the champions are and how good the training is. One colleague thinks it'll be really intimidating for the champions and can turn them off. Asking for a friend.
Yeah. Okay. With that feedback loop, it's really challenging to know whether something's worked or not, right? But I completely understand the piece that the champions may feel that actually they've been rated or scored, a bit like the session evals that are going to go up in a minute, right? And so I would definitely try and find a way of taking the feedback. You can almost detach that process from the actual session. If you know who's attended, you could obviously go to those people and stress it's anonymized results, so you're not asking actually about that. You've just been recently to a champion session, we'd like to understand, and just make sure your questioning isn't such that it's basically personally identifiable stuff, right? They can't kind of feel that they're down-rating the guy, because what you want them to be scoring on is the effectiveness of what they've got, the understanding and knowledge, not how that person's delivered it and how they put it through. So I would take it, get them to write a Power App beforehand and get them to get all the feedback through that, or a Microsoft form. That'd be brilliant. That doubles up the championing bit.
Yeah, I think the core to what you're saying is not all champions thrive in the same teaching or learning mechanisms. Everybody is different. Some people are very effective when you sit next to them and they show you how to do it. And some are great at running training sessions. And some, I mean, we have a couple of champions that I can think of, sales roles, you know, very techie, hacked himself through the SharePoint sites. And like now training is part of his charter, you know, that's what he thrives on, and he's a salesperson, you know. So I think there is enough difference in each individual that you have to sort of have that flexibility to.
But you still would ask for feedback.
Definitely, always ask for feedback.
Yeah.
Even if you just send out an empty text box saying, "Tell us anything about this session," right? Yeah. Because the nuggets, the gold in the stories, generally start from that feedback loop. So
chances are, when it goes bad, they definitely get the feedback.
Yes.
Just saying,
you definitely get, you have a better chance of getting feedback when things went bad than when they went right. So no harm in trying to get that feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you guys today. I have a question. I'm trying to cultivate a champions group in my organization, and a big problem that I'm seeing is that I'm becoming a bottleneck as they are becoming more empowered and they're not talking to each other as much as they are talking to me. So I know you mentioned a Yammer group. How do you get them to talk to each other and to decentralize the adoption?
Okay.
Well, we have the same problem. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so well, it's challenging. You need to get them to act as a community, and it takes time to get to that point, right? So what I would say, try to get those few champions that you think are probably have more knowledge and maybe a bit more time as well, and get those champions, try to build with them so that they become sort of the community managers, so that they're the one trying to drive the others to start helping each other. But because if you have a group of 100 people, there'd be like 5 would be posting and answering questions, and 95 will just be looking. So
and also just trying to tell them it's okay just to read the stuff, right? Yeah, it's absolutely fine as long as you're going through, you're picking stuff up, chucking the odd like in here and there. It's okay. That's your way of taking the messaging, understanding, engaging. Yeah, you might find 10% are really vocal, and maybe just kind of watch the potential drowning effect. That what I've seen is this drowning effect of some of the good ideas. They're too vocal, really annoying because that's really good, but you get this drowning effect. But also to watch for a steering effect, because if you get several strong voices, they're going to send people in a certain direction. Sometimes that direction isn't the most appropriate road to travel. So from my point of view, that Yammer group is my go-to one. It's the one that I start up into, and I just scroll through it. And what I'm just kind of watching for is that, there's been some messages of late. They've been sharing some stuff, and I'm watching for these sort of warning signals. And if they are sort of going off the piste a little bit, then it's not a public thing to do. It's that you have a chat and kind of get them back.
I think it's that change in behavior is one of the hardest things you can do. So you've got to sort of like, Cedric said something like it takes 6 to 8 weeks before they start doing it the new way. So you have to sort of, do that gently so they can you're consistently doing it for a period of time, and then it becomes a habit.
Yeah, I think. Make sure they know they know what your expectation is towards them. Make it clear in a nice way. But at least you align on this. And you don't want to be the bottleneck, otherwise that might create some friction, frustration, and then you look at like you're the bad guy who doesn't care about the network, but you want to grow it. So try to avoid it. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Right. Yep.
So it's easy to get excited about something that's there. So you have your champions and you say, hey, look at Teams, let's do this. What about when you know something's there, such as Teams, but your IT department doesn't want to release that? I know you said you release everything and let them go with that. How would somebody champion something that hasn't been done yet?
Yeah, I think it's gaining sponsorship, and so I think you both should talk through.
Yeah, I mean, the first part of my role is kind of understand whether this shiny new toys can offer any sort of business value, right?
Right.
And I make a punt at that because, yes, I did originate in the business, so I have a feel for what Mott MacDonald needs, but I take an initial pitch at it. Right subject, we do turn it all on at some point over, but compliance and regulation, we have to throw some toggles from there to there. We take the initial story and then pitch that into our senior leadership team, initially into IT leadership, because it's a new service, right? Ultimately, that probably means new service SQs, new people, and all that peripheral stuff that makes things work. So that's and then we feed it into the Champions Network and say, yes, this shiny new toy that I've got, will it help you? What's the business story? And we drive it up that way, and that's how we do it.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck right now between the end users don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
So do
they know the art of the possible?
Right. Do I tell them there's these toys out there, but you've got to help me convince them that we need them?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a tough situation.
It is.